Many of you already know the story that Mr. Washington, when asked by Felicia Rashad to join her in assisting 9 theater students from Howard University who had been accepted to a summer acting program at the British Academy of Dramatic Acting in Oxford, he gracefully and privately agreed to contribute. As fate would have it, I was one of the students that he paid for. Imagine receiving a letter that your tuition for that summer was paid for and that your benefactor was none other than the dopest actor on the planet. I have no doubt that there are similar stories at boys and girls clubs and theaters and churches across the country where I know you have also inspired and motivated others. An offering from a sage and a king is more than silver and gold. It is a seed of hope, a bud of faith. There is no Black Panther without Denzel Washington.
This movement started before I got involved, bro.
You don't want them to you want them to recast T'Challa because you don't want this character to just end up going by the wayside and future generations not knowing. Talk to us about your passion behind this petition.
Sure. I mean, look, Chadwick Boseman, his passing affected, I know for me and other people, both personally and professionally. The character of T'Challa is such an important character. You're talking about the very first leading Black role in the MCU, in Marvel Cinematic Universe. You're talking about a character that is the embodiment from the comic books of diversity and representation and inclusion. The petition right now, thankfully, has gotten over, it's almost at 35,000 signatures, and it's a very simple request. Just don't stop the portrayal forever. If you want to sideline them, that's fine. We're just asking not to corner yourself by stopping the portrayal because, as I've said, you know, if you're talking about trying to honor a legend and stuff like that, the number one way to kill a legend is to stop telling their story. And in Hollywood, recasting is actually the way that we remember the actors and characters. We remember Roger Moore, Sean Connery, all the James Bonds. We remember Christopher Reeve and Adam West as our Batman and Superman because the role has continued. So I'm like, can we make T'Challa, you know, the new Superman? Can we make Chadwick Boseman the new Christopher Reeve?
Now I can answer what you aren't asking me.
Okay, what's that question?
I see a narrative being assembled by Hollywood. And I could be completely wrong, but a Black man being a king does not fit the narrative of
Not at all.
what they want the world to see. A Black man being a victim, Black man being killed in the streets, but a Black man being a king is not the narrative that they want the world to see, and I don't think they liked the response that came back from a Black man being a king. And though I believe that Black women are queens anyway, I think that the narrative that we will see is that the Black Panther will be a female.
You think so?
I believe so.
It's a great question. I'm not hedging my bets. I'm being quite honest. You will not see T'Challa in the MCU 616 universe. We couldn't do it. I mean, I will say when Chad passed, it was a real conversation we had with Coogler about what do we do, and it was a fast conversation. It wasn't weeks, it was minutes of we have to figure out how to move this franchise on without that character, because I think we all feel so much of T'Challa in the MCU on the screen, not in comics, right? Is tied to Chadwick's performance, is what he brought to that role, both on and off screen, I would argue. So as hard as it is narratively to figure out what to do, because it's a big hole, at no point did we consider recasting him. So the challenge for Black Panther Wakanda Forever is telling a story without T'Challa.
Hold up, you are wrong. I am not dead.
I'm not opposed to you making some money. It's a win-win. Give us the movie we want, you make the money.
Ryan, the right director for this, you know, he came on after Chadwick had been cast, so talk about that process a little bit.
I mean, his two films, both Fruitvale Station and Creed, are such great character pieces, and we knew that for people to love the Black Panther franchise, they needed to love T'Challa.
And I even have reading suggestions for my mans Nate Moore and Kevin Feige, since y'all seem to have so much trouble with canon and source material. Guess what I'm going to recommend? Yeah, the official handbook of the Marvel Universe.
And with as many recastings as we've done, okay? We have recasted Spider-Man like 8 times, okay? We recasted Joker after Heath Ledger passed away. They made 2 other movies with the Joker in it, and nobody was upset about it because he did an amazing job at being Joker, and he unfortunately passed away, but there's still a story that needs to be told about that can be told. Now,
you know, because I'm a big fan as well, what would he want Black Panther 2 to be like?
I can't answer that.
What would you want it to be like? I can't come here and ask a Black Panther question. No, I'm joking there. No, I get it.
I mean, I would want him to be in it. I would want him to continue to be King T'Challa.
Finally, I thought of Ali in the middle of the yard. In his elder years, drawing from his victories and his losses. At that moment, I realized something new about the greatness of Ali and how he carried his crown. I realized that he was transferring something to me on that day. He was transferring the spirit of the fighter in me. He was transferring the spirit of the fighter to me. He was transferring the spirit of the fighter to me. Sometimes you need to feel the pain and sting of defeat to activate the real passion and purpose that God predestined inside of you. God says in Jeremiah, I know the plans I have for you. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Graduating class, hear me well on this day. When you have reached the hilltop and you are deciding on next jobs, next steps, careers, further education, you would rather find purpose than a job or a career.
You know, I've been at Marvel for 11 plus years. When I first started, if we were launching a new property, what we would typically do is say, hey, for instance, we want to make Black Panther. Here's a bunch of comics, writer or director. Come back and tell us what you think the movie is. And the problem with that is there's so much in publishing. There's often 50 plus years of material. It was very hard for us to get on the same page with the creative person because, frankly, they weren't in our heads, we weren't in their heads, and our development process wasn't bearing a lot of fruit. What we've started to do then is each executive, each producer on a property is sort of responsible for reading literally every appearance of the Black Panther in this case. And I put together a document that outlined what we thought the movie could be, elements from publishing in specific runs that we thought were interesting to leverage, elements from publishing that we weren't interested in doing, suggested secondary characters, suggested villains, and we packaged that document, which is roughly 20 pages, with a much smaller group of comics and went to filmmakers. And so when Ryan came to pitch on the movie, he already knew kind of what we wanted and was able we were able to get on the same page a lot faster, you know?
Fact, Black Panther canon demands that T'Challa be a part of said canon. How can we talk about Wakanda and not have T'Challa in the conversation? If we was talking about BC Black Panther, I could see it. If we were talking about Bashinga, I could see it. If we were talking about Chanda, Azari, or T'Chaka, I could see it. But you're talking about T'Challa. And that is when your story takes place during T'Challa's reign. So T'Challa doesn't even get to be a king during his reign. We're playing that narrative down. We're continuing to play that narrative down, regardless of what was said in the December 2020 interview by Chadwick Boseman's brother. We continue to ignore that.
For me, as the mother of a young son, my son's childhood has been defined by Barack Obama and now Black Panther, so thank you.
Hey, that's way too much praise. Barack Obama.
No.
You are gorgeous. Gorgeous family.
That is unexpected.
Gorgeous family.
Wait.
The moment that you see Cherokee Bill and Trudy Smith walking past the train,
take a moment and read the name of that train. C.A. Boseman. Yes, Chadwick Boseman. Rest in power, King.